I have cherished the day that I can have you guys on camera with me. So this is fantastic. A little intro before we get into, I want to do a series of talks about projects that we have all worked on together and materialized here at Tailored Twig. And what better than to bring you guys in, because you guys are an essential part of all aspects of everything that goes on here, not only from the approach of the client to what we conceptualize to how we actually design it, how we install it, how we strike it. You're part of the heartbeat, and I need everyone to kind of have some background as to who you are, where you came from, so that they have a better understanding as to how we operate here and what aspects we all come from and how we work together, gel together, and make these experiences come to life. So, questions, right?
Thank you for having me. Was that too close?
We have new podcast microphones. I feel
so official.
Yeah. Yeah. So Wade, how long have you been with Tailored Twig?
I joined the Tailored Twig team as a freelance designer last year. I think I maybe did a handful of events with you guys, 5 or 6, kind of last spring, summer, your last season. And I joined full-time in August as the studio manager. So yeah, about a year and a half, I guess, at this point, full-time. It's just, we hit the ground running. I think you and I just gelled right out of the gate. We shared our love of the Northeast and kind of our background, Connecticut, New York. So I think you and I had a lot of kind of things that we had similar experiences growing up, career, those kind of things. But you, I don't know, you saw something in me. I was new to flowers. I had only been doing flowers a couple years. But you gave me a shot, and I kind of jumped in and jived with your crew and your team, and I got to, be part of some really fun, exciting events right out of the gate. And I don't know, when you offered me a full-time role, I was like, I think this is where I need to be. I think this is a good spot for me.
I felt bad when I did, because I kind of stole your dreams.
Well, no. You enhanced them. Yeah, you're right. I was about to kind of start my own company and possibly do this on my own, which is a crazy idea, and I don't know why you did it or how you did it. But I was like, I think I can start my own floral company. And you were like, yeah, don't do that. Why don't you just come work for me? And I was like, okay, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah, because I'm probably going to lose money for many years. So yeah, I'm not an idiot. And so I think I saw that, like, what I could possibly do on my own and try, I could do it. And I believe in myself, and I'm sure I would have, 5 to 10 years from now. But to be able to jump right into your team and your business and all the mistakes and learnings and everything that you've made, I'd get like a master class in how to run a floral design company, how to execute, all the things that you have done, in the past 10, 15 years. You mean
I made mistakes?
Just one. Just a few. But, again, it's just I've learned so much in this, year and a half that I would have never, been able to as quickly experience on my own. So
it goes both ways, because you've taught me a tremendous amount. You really have. And the moment that you walk through the door, it is undeniable the level of peace, competence, confidence, sophistication that you bring to the table, and we are so lucky to have you. Really lucky to have you. Adam, how long have you been here?
Hey, newbie.
I just hit my 90 days here.
Oh, wow.
120.
120.
Yeah. Right?
August, September, October. Yeah, 90.
Oh, it felt like 120.
Well,
it's like you've been here for 30 more days.
Been here for 80 years. Yeah.
Oh, this is going to take more digging.
Oh, so
yeah.
That's how long I've been here. I told you.
What brought you here?
The almighty algorithm brought me here. So
explain that, please.
So I remember laying in bed, scrolling through Instagram, and happening upon a post that was from Tailored Twig, advertising that you were looking for a senior design position. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I double clicked, like on it. And then I kept scrolling. And the next morning I woke up to a cute little message from Wade saying, hey, how's it going? We're looking for some freelance designers to come down and some dates. This was in July when this all happened, and
I think you had on your page like open to inquiries or something like that. You kind of had like, you had like a friendly kind of like reach out, and so we did.
Yeah, DM for inquiries, and so you did, and asked about a couple dates coming up in the fall if I'd be open to coming down and freelancing with you all, and I said yeah, of course. And that was on a Tuesday, I think, and then by Saturday we were on the phone together, you and I, Darin, and you just asked, hey, like, do you have a few minutes to hop on a phone call? And I was like, sure, I can give you 15.
You're like, I have 15.
Yeah, I have 15. So an hour later, we had a video chat scheduled with the three of us, and that was the following Tuesday. And then by the next Sunday, I was flying down here to meet you all and see and experience Tampa and Tailored Twig, and I was sold. I mean, I really was I knew that I was waiting for the right feeling to come along, for the right place, for the right fit. And after coming to your space and this space in Tampa and experiencing the culture that you've created and fostered and nurtured, I knew that was something that I wanted to be a part of, and that would be a place where I would not only be able to apply what I already know, but it would be a place where I would get to explore and create and ask nuanced questions and figure out solutions and come up with creative solutions to really interesting puzzles. And so, yeah.
I like that.
Next question, please.
what I love about this group is that that I really enjoy the two humans across the table from me, and the kind of people you want to come to work with and spend the day with, the kind of people that, I mean, we have our lives outside of here, and most of us make choices as to who fills it, or at least the majority of it, right? Except for like family and that sort of thing that you're kind of stuck with, or lucky enough to have, whichever way you want to look at it. But in this circle, it's all about choices, right? And we have operated a lot of years with people with a skill set to fill a position, and less so with a person that you really gel with, and then the skill set comes after that. So it's just such a welcomed joy to come to work every day with both of you, and I think you both know that. I share that all the time. I mean, it's super important to me, especially when you have previous experiences where they're more challenging. So it's just so beautiful. That said, it doesn't mean that the two of you are just lovely human beings, and therefore we come here and we create these kind of really amazing designs that I think a lot of people that do what we do kind of scratch their head and they go, how did they come up with, how did they do that, right? What's your background, Wade? What brought you here? What brought you to flowers? What turns you on? All of that stuff.
My background is in design, so I'm kind of naturally creative. I studied fashion in New York. I have a degree in women's apparel design. But then I spent 15 years working in accessory design, designing women's accessories for various companies in the city. But yeah, I've always been a creative, naturally artistic. I love to draw. I love to paint. I love photography. So just kind of always been a creative in any field. After leaving New York and coming down here to Florida about 3 years ago, I don't think I knew what I would do. And I really had no plan other than to, make a change and kind of start over. I had a friend that knew someone that was looking for help at a flower shop, and I'm like, that sounds lovely. It just sounds like a great job. 2 years later, I was like, oh my God, retail floral is not for me. Valentine's Day and Christmas and prom and all those things. I kind of, I kind of quickly realized that the retail side of floral design didn't quite really appeal to me much anymore. And I was more interested in events and larger things and more the ability to really create outside of the box of like a price point or a predetermined recipe, which is what flower shops a lot do, obviously. So I was like, I think I need to branch out and start freelancing and see if I can get some, experience under my belt as a freelance floral designer. And that is, again, that's how I worked with a few different companies down here in Tampa. It's how I stumbled on your doorstep.
How did that happen?
It was Rose from A Special Rose. I was doing a wedding with her, and she was getting to know me and asking, like what other companies I was working for. And I kind of threw out a handful of people that I had been working for. And she was like, do you know Tailored Twig? And I'm like, I've never heard of them. She was like, you should look them up. I feel like it's very your style. It's like, they're really high end and they're really, and I was like, well, that sounds like my style then, So I quickly, I don't know how in my search for like looking for work, you didn't stumble in front of me, but yeah, it was after that recommendation that I found you guys. I knocked on the door and was welcomed, immediately. Like I said,
it's because we didn't have Only Wave to
Filming,
promote our social. I mean, now that we do, I'm sure you would have stumbled on us right away. Yeah,
exactly. Now we have this incredible team. That was that. So my experience is in again, accessory design. So, I have a different way of approaching design, that is probably different than what you have as, with more floral experience, what you have in hospitality and in owning a business. Like I kind of bring a different approach, I think that is helpful and has been an asset here. But I was a fashion kid in New York. Not really.
Don't sell yourself short. Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. Adam, how about you?
Can you repeat the question, please? I was so encapsulated with Wade's story that I forgot the question.
What background brought you to a level of justifying your position here?
My background for the last decade has been in floral design, in high-end retail and event design in Minneapolis. And that space, working with Arts and Flowers in Minneapolis and getting to work with the team there, that was the first flower shop I ever worked for full-time. And Minneapolis is also the place where I took my first flower design class. And so I'm adopted. I grew up in Iowa, in a super small town, and like a town of 3,000 people. My family didn't have a lot, but they were well-traveled because they were a military family. And so the one thing that they gave me above everything else, I think, was this idea that nothing is impossible, that your options aren't limited based on what's around you.
I just love that.
My mom is a florist, and she's been in the industry for about 40 years. She started when she was 16, and she started her own shop when she was 16 out of her basement, and has sort of run the course of the industry and tried a bunch of different things. So I always grew up in a flower shop environment, but I never even thought for a second that I would be a florist. It was not even like, if I had planned A to Z, it didn't even make it to Z. I only ever wanted to be a chef from the time that I was like 4, and that was the trajectory, and I had a one-track mind, and I never changed it. So my background started out in culinary and working in restaurants, and my aspiration at the time was to work in Michelin star restaurants. And I got really close, but then ended up moving back home to Iowa to help with family things and get a better understanding of where I wanted to take my path. And moving back home, moving back home to my mom's house reconnected me with floral. And then I ended up finding an event production company in Iowa, down in Des Moines that I worked for a little bit. And that was the first exposure to event floral that I had. And that was the first time where, even though I grew up in a flower shop environment, like having a florist as a mother, I never experienced production like we do here, right? And that was really a game changer. So then I found a school up in Minneapolis where I was able to take some design classes, and one thing led to another. And I think the through line, though, for me has always been that I've always been really grateful and lucky in that I've found people who were willing to gamble on me and take a chance and provide opportunity, because I think I'm very hardworking, but also like I'm very passionate about what I do. For me, it's important, when I spoke earlier about coming down to Tailored Twig and needing to experience it in person because I wanted to get a sense of how it felt to be in this space. That's fundamental for me because my work is like my sacred space in addition to my home, but it needs to fulfill me in a lot of different ways. And so I've always tried to find places that did that. And through that, I was able to learn from some really talented, through that, I was able to learn from some really talented people and learn a lot of different ways of doing things. And so I think that's just led to my background of experience and what I'm able to hopefully offer the people around me that I choose to surround myself with and get to work with here. And
So I think what might be valuable for people to understand is what your primary roles are here, and then what, I don't want to call it secondary roles, but then we'll get into how we work together and how we collaborate together and how we create a vision for someone that gives us a couple of pictures to start with, right? How that whole process happens and how each of us has an integral part involved in it. So, Wade, what
you go first. You're like, I've been on camera so many times already. We know what you do. Like I mentioned, I am the studio manager. So that role kind of, is a range of things, from running the studio, office supplies, things of that nature, like just the kind of day-to-day of running the studio, supplies, things of that nature. I also kind of handle a lot of the proposal building and some of the documentation, the invoicing, anything kind of client-facing. I think I kick off a lot of the conversations with interested parties that don't necessarily come from a wedding planner, they found us on Instagram, they found us online, they found us on Google, kind of things like that. I'm usually the landing spot for those inquiries. So it's, my role to kind of get off on a good foot, introduce myself, the company, and be kind of the first face of the brand for those. Chief
communicator. No, you do the majority most of the communication.
Yeah, again, mostly client facing, some of it.
Thank you so much.
Manage the calendar, those kind of things. But I love that you knew that I was creative. You knew in offering me this role, knowing that I was kind of a design person with a design background, that like, would this even fulfill me? And you asked that, which I appreciate. And I don't think I knew, and I was like, well, of course, like I'll figure it out. But what you have also offered is the ability to continue to design, to be part of every creative conversation, to be very influential in decisions that are made on the design basis. Because again, my experience, so I appreciate
essential.
That. Yeah,
it's absolutely essential.
I absolutely feel fulfilled in both, the kind of management. I managed design teams in New York. I was, a part of that process and managing multiple people and managing a team. So it's like I get a little bit of that, but I also get to jump behind the table and design when needed. And, that is fantastic as well. And it fulfills that side of my creativity as well. I've even started rendering some things, from time to time. I'll render an idea neither of y'all can sketch, so it tends to be me in the meeting that's trying to quickly draw something.
I chicken scratch.
You're okay. You're okay. You get it done. You get. You do doodle. So I appreciate that I can, kind of sometimes quickly illustrate, an idea or put something that you guys are envisioning or something. I can get it on paper to help a client understand some of the bigger ideas.
Help us understand. I mean, it forms that way, and then we look at it and we're like, well, wait, maybe a little bit more like this, and then we're all in the same thing.
Yeah,
it's super cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's super multifaceted, and every day is different here, and it's
for better or worse.
Yeah, for better or for worse. It's it really isn't repetitive, as we know. It's each week brings a new production, a new event, a new set of challenges, and so it's super then there's slow times. It's super dynamic. There's times when we're just so crazy busy and we have so many things going on, and then there's times when we can take a step back and analyze and plan, and so it's a nice balance of all of those things.
I really like this round table. It gives me more input in what's in your head. I love it.
Is that good?
Mr. Gladu,
what's your role?
How would you describe your role here at Tailored Twig?
So, I guess my official role is senior floral designer, and to me, what that encompasses is, just making sure that I'm setting the team up for success, for coming to the table and listening to the client to understand who they are as a person, what makes them tick, what makes them not tick, and to really listen to that narrative, to be able to put that story into floral and design, to make sure that we are doing what we do sustainably, so we can be doing this for a while. And then making sure that storyline gets delegated out to our incredible team here. Whether it's the three of us, whether it's, including Brittany, who's our warehouse manager, and then beyond into our freelance designers that we bring in for larger events. Setting them up for success and making sure that they feel supported and guided so that they can focus on creating really beautiful work, so that they don't have to worry about a lot of the back end stuff because that's been done for them. That's how I like to think of what my responsibility here is that I have a responsibility to people first and foremost, to make sure that they're taken care of, whether it's the client, the planner, you guys, or our freelance designers.
Well, I think a large part of what you do, and I think you didn't even make mention of it, is select compositions for what ends up being, initial conversations with a client, roundtable conversations as far as what's in our head, and then you selecting the specific ingredients that put something together. And you are one of the best that I've ever worked with that does that. You come up with some really unique stuff and unique mixes. You're like a 5-star chef with flowers coming up with these things. I mean, so that culinary kind of exposure has bled through into your recipe.
Your recipes,
making.
yeah, exactly. Your recipes are
chef's kiss.
They're delicious. They really are. And a recipe is one thing with all the ingredients, but then it needs the right proportions, and so it's a lot to it.
And the right person preparing it.
Excuse me?
And the right person preparing it.
Yeah,
it's one thing to have a good recipe, but you have to have an incredible team to be able to execute it.
You ain't got shit if you don't have the right ingredients, right? So it's really fantastic. Let's walk through how someone comes in here that's interested in what we do, with a planner, without a planner, whatever, and they sit down with us. I think anyone who watches, who subscribes to any of our Instagram thing has a for who I am. I'm the loud and flashy one out of all of us, and it's because I feel like it's my business and I have to like insert,
You're the star. Everyone wants to.
I'm not a star.
Yes, you are.
I am not the star.
He's the star.
So I'm always like big and all of that, and I think that at times that has the potential to drown you guys out, and nothing is more inaccurate than that, because both of you contribute immensely to what ends up becoming these crazy experiences.
And I think what you have done best, and what speaks to like why you are and why your business is the way it is, and you have built a space and a company that people cannot help but when they walk in the doors they feel something. And I think like you can't describe it, you can't put your finger on it, but when they come in, it's like their first, like, it's a beautiful space, the studio is beautiful, that's one thing, but then there's something else that you can't put your finger on, and it's you. That's what you've created, and I'm not gonna get emotional. Please edit. You're just so fucking sweet, and you have such heart, and people see that immediately. And I felt it immediately, and I think people feel it. And we get teared up when we do events together, and we get teared up with clients, and it's because people are walking in here for like a very special moment in their life. And yes, it comes with its challenges and pricing and all the bullshit stuff of like running a business, but it's a day in these people's lives that like they have either dreamt about their entire life, they have saved their entire lives, their families are, it's super, super important. And I think they get a level of comfortability with you because they can feel how serious you take it, and how important it is to you, how important your team is to you. Again, that you have built this business not for yourself, but to care for us, to care for the people in your lives, and to care for your clients. So that's, I think people feel that. And you're big and showy and loud in meetings, but it's because you just have so much heart, and it's just. To do this way. Well, I said we're editing it out. We're gonna cut to the. Anyways, when people come in for meetings, sorry, that got a.
No, it's happening again. It's just like full bloom all over. Everyone else cries, and then I can't cry, and then I look like the cunt.
Yeah. But what we do is we spend time with people, and we extract from them as much as we can, and we get into the nitty gritties of, like you said, their likes, their dislikes, this and that, and from that, we're given the opportunity to create. And so what starts as kind of this group thing, then falls into your lap as I've got to create a color palette, I've got to create varieties. I've got to, we have to look at it from a business perspective. I have to look at it from a logistics, or, there's just so many different pieces of it, but it all starts with this connection. And that's like what you say over and over again. It's about connection. And I think why we get the clients we do, why we have the planners that we do, why we get the business, is that people just walk away feeling connected, and that we shake their hands when they walk in, and we hug when they walk out. And that's every time. No one leaves without a hug. We start our days with hugs. Like it's just about connection. And I think that's what you have mastered in your time so far.
With sincerity too.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's not. It really is. That's what I'm saying. You just feel it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That means the world. It really does.
Of course. Sorry. Okay,
No,
let's re-ask the question.
How does he follow that?
I don't know. What are you?
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm gonna pull one eyelash out.
Nose hair. You got to get a nose hair to
It all
cry.
started when I was adopted. I was an orphan.
I was. Oh my God,
Shit.
shit. I'm hot.
Yeah,
I'm
me
like
too.
sweating.
I am too. I'm hot
Go in the
too.
cooler.
Oh, that'd be fun. We could do this in the cooler.
Let's take a break. Yeah. Next episode.
So they come in, and We do the whole razzle dazzle thing, right? We drop a screen, we do all of that. We try to illustrate who we are, what we can do, and how serious we are. And I am always zooming out and trying to look at like the big picture, the layout, the large kind of focal point pieces that are going to ground the room and make the room feel balanced and sensational and all of that kind of thing. And then we just kind of fueled that whole thing together, and you guys jump on board, or you challenge me and you say, but what are you thinking about that? Why don't you think about this? And like that kind of dialogue is essential for great design in my view and in my experience. It's never, well, it was when it had to be only what I could do when I didn't have strong people with me. But now that there are, I mean, even Butch Betty.
Bless her.
and even like our resident freelancers like Cindy and like Ramsey and like, you know, the crew from Iowa that come down all the time. It's through
from
the
Ohio.
whole thing that we're always open to modification and tweaking things so that it can be executed and have more impact, right? I don't know how to articulate what your involvement in that is that's felt by the client when they walk in the door. And that's what I'm trying to extract from you. Like what Adam is like this amazingly sophisticated conversationalist with all of these subtleties and all of these nuances that he talks about, and I just eat it up. I love it. and I think that I think the people do too, you know. But then they look to me, and I'm like, back. Waves in the background, just. And what do you think about this? You know, I mean, it's just like where the magic happens. It's just a beautiful thing. And I guess the only way that you can do it is be here and witness it, right? Or experience it.
You know, one of the things that you told me when I was considering coming down here was that for client interactions that it would be the three of us meeting with clients. And that to me was like such a selling point for me to approach meetings, approach engagement with clients in that fashion, because you're getting 3 times the amount of attention. You know, you're getting 3 times the perspective. You're not just getting one person's take on what you said and then regurgitating it to 2 other people, and nothing gets lost in translation. And I think, you know, the beauty of Tailored Twig and the experience that guests have when they come through the door and meet with us and have that dialogue is that they have 3 different opportunities to be listened to by someone who understands their perspective. If I'm not the right fit for understanding what they're communicating, then perhaps Wade is. And if not Wade, then Darin. And if not Darin, then I.
It's true.
And if it were me going to invest in a beautiful event, that's what I would want from a guest experience standpoint. I want to believe that I'm being listened to and that my subtle nuances and the subtleties are important, because there are a lot of people that do what we do. And I've worked with a lot of people who do what we do in this industry. And it's one thing to just throw flowers at it. And I think you were speaking to this the other day. It's another thing for it to be designed with intention. And I think that's what makes people feel special. You know, they want that sensory experience, especially now. Like everything is so, you know,
and I think kind of what we've become known for too is that there is an element of uniqueness and originality that we are constantly trying to push and design something for you. We can put vases on tables, we can light candles, we can make an archway. You know, we can do all of those things if that's what you would like. If you would like a suspended, asymmetrical, this, if you would like something that is designed for the space, is designed to tell the story that you're telling us, is designed to honor someone or a part of your life or your history or your culture, anything. That's what gets you excited. That's what I think continues to get us excited as well, is this idea that we don't just do weddings. We're here to create space, to design an experience, not just flowers, whether it's with fabric, textures, wood, metal, and if we can create something that no one's ever seen before, or that you can't even understand, that's what we want to do. You're like, and those are the clients that we get just so geeked about, where they're like, whatever you guys want. I mean, that's the dream. When they come in, they have maybe a color palette and maybe like a few wish list kind of things, and then they're like, and an open mind, and they came to us for that reason. They've heard about us. They followed us. They understand what you've done in the past, and for that reason, they want to like partake in this artistic experience for their big day, and that's the dream. That's where you can really unlock design ideas, the freedom to create and not repeat, and not that's the best part of this, is when you can do that too, from a design perspective.
You were saying earlier, when people walk in the space, they can see that it's beautiful. I think that innately, you can tell that there's a level of taste and there's a level of sophistication. And I think, I don't know if I'm being honest, like, I feel like we're at that point, and we're also pretty hard to satisfy. Like,
our own worst.
Like, I'll use an I statement. I am hard. I am a challenge to satisfy. So if I'm actually happy with something, like, that looks good, it's probably really fucking good. One nod is good. 2 nods is very good. There's only been one actual smile on record. So, but that's who I want to take. If it were me, that's who I want to take care of me. Because people with that level of, care and attention, and that are challenging to satisfy. Because if they think it's good, then it must be, worth something. Thanks for being sophisticated.
You fancy.
I'm really not.
I think that gives enough for people to dig into future conversations, to get a understanding, and I'll learn more, and they'll learn more, and we'll learn more together, and I think it's this journey, although longer with some, shorter with others, collectively together, I feel like it's been so fun and interesting so far, and I am so optimistic of what's to come, because I've never felt more confident and more excited about the possibilities ahead. I really feel like anyone who walks through the door, we're going to the Bahamas next week for a wedding. I mean, we have an inquiry for Paris. We're doing not only logistically challenging things, but design challenging things, and creative things that are just like, what? It's just gonna get better. It's just gonna get better. Thank you both for taking the time, not only out of every day, but also today, to sit around the microphone and go on camera with me, because
God,
I've been the lone wolf dangled out, monkey dance, So yeah. We'll take a break, and then we'll talk about some events that we recently did, and go from there. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
To be continued.
Thanks.